garden doctor. The garden doctor.
Hello!
Don't
Talk
you love
amongst
that song?
yourselves for a while because we don't know what the heck we're doing.
I
here.
love that song they
Do you like
play
that
on the
song?
intro. I do.
Do you like the announcement,
The garden doctor.
Yeah, well, you always say Mrs.
Ah,
Or
Mrs.
is it Miss?
No, it's Mrs. all
Live
day.
show. We're live.
Yes,
We
yay.
want you to call in. And
Yesterday
as a
was
matter
4th
fact,
of July. Today's the 5th. We are live.
we are firecracking hot. And we want you to call in. And
Yes,
the
we
first 3 callers that call in tonight are going to get a free prize.
Free stuff.
And that is...
A lavender plant. I propagated some lavender plants this year, which are great for pinch and sniff or to fill sachets with or just to have outside your door and get that wonderful aroma and the little blue flowers that it makes. So
It's called a sachet?
a sachet, isn't that
thought
where
it was a
you...
sachet.
Sachet? No, that's how you walk. Sachet.
All right, yeah, that's how
But anyway,
Floridians walk.
the-
I don't know about everybody else.
Well,
but-
this is a live call-in show.
Yes, it is. Yes,
and
it
we
is.
need to have call-ins. So
And on top of the lavender, you're
Free.
going to get a surprise plant. But the first 3 callers, when you call in and ask a question, stay on the line so that you can give the address, a name, or just a name.
just your name
Oh,
to
it needs your
Justin
name.
in the control booth.
Then we are having an unadvertised, unannounced, by invitation only sale at the farm. I haven't felt well. I haven't been well for a couple of years, so we didn't have a sale last year, and we're not going to have a sale this year, except by invitation only. And this is an invitation
This
for
is,
you
yes, the
to
invitation.
come to the sale, and
this
it's Saturday,
only.
the 7th.
Yes.
From 10 until 4, but I'll be there till 5. So if you
But not before 10. We drink coffee
not
in the
before
morning.
10.
And yes, enjoy
I'm
the day.
old. I'm slow. Takes me a while to get out of bed.
And
if
nothing
you want
is
to see
hot-
me
yeah.
naked in the yard with a cup of coffee,
Then come early, but please don't.
you don't want to see that. You don't want to see
But we're
that.
going to be digging right out of the ground because we don't want to dig ahead of time. That's a lot of energy to expend for us. So
And some of these we're not going to dig. Possibly on the day of the sale. It's supposed to be a nice day.
I hope
but
so,
we're not
yes.
going to dig on that day. We'll mark them and we will dig them later. And let's say that you're putting on a big project and you need 50 or 75 plants and you don't want them all at once. That's fine, but you will need to pick them up in the next 2 weeks, and we'll have 3 days for you to pick them up so that you can space it out a little bit. And also I may have to space out the digging a little bit depending on how much help
and we're
I
going
have.
to try and have a helper to do the digging, but we want to thin out some of our daylily beds. We really are going to try and phase down what we do.
So it's going to be a lot of big deals.
Yes.
We're
Big
also getting rid
clumps,
of a
good
bunch of
prices.
grasses.
Yep, grasses.
We're getting rid of, or not getting rid of, but we're going to
be
sell
selling grasses.
Some ground covers. There's a few we have. Myrtle and the...
We have some Rosa Sharon we need to...
Rosa Sharon. Now, I have that in 4 colors, and this is the time to pick your color if that's what you're looking for. We have them all the way from 3 foot up to 9 foot.
Oh, my, giant ones, yes.
Yeah, so
beautiful, wispy
and
grasses.
all of those are available, and it's a good time to transplant them. However, you will have to water. That's what you have to do.
It is what it is.
That is one of the primary questions that we got. Was about watering. Because of this intense heat that we're getting early in the season, a lot of people are calling saying, look, I just can't put enough water on my hanging baskets.
Tell me about it. It
Can't
seems
put enough
like that,
water
yes.
on my tomato plants. My vegetables are all drying up. You need to, if they're in the ground and they're in the garden, there's 2 things that you can do. One is to provide them with some shade. When I was a kid, we used to have this roll of stuff. It was fiber, and it was kind of loosely woven.
Like a burlap? Or
I don't know if no, that's what I thought it might have been, but I don't think it was a burlap.
like a shade cloth just to make a
Well,
shade over
we
them?
used it for beans. When we hung the beans upside down and we shook the beans, they would fall on the sheet. We'd pick it up, and all the dirt would go down through. And we also used it to put up so that we provided shade if it was real hot in the summer for things like lettuce and some of the crops that prefer a little bit cooler. But this year, you might want to just stick some stakes in the ground on the south side of your garden and put a sheet up. because the sheet will shade to some extent and decrease the intensity of the heat by casting a shadow, but it'll still allow some light to come through.
Now, in our garden, we have plastic sheeting down, and then we
But
have
when she says sheeting, she means actual sheets
thick
of plastic.
corrugated plastic sheeting, hard. And we have that down on either side of the row of tomato plants.
They're about 2 foot wide.
So you only have the section that where the base of the plant is actually in the dirt. Now, I'm wondering that plastic over the rooted part keeps a lot of the moisture in, and so we haven't had as much of a hard time keeping the tomatoes watered for that reason.
That's the next point I was going to make is evaporation. If you can decrease the evaporation by reducing the amount of sunlight that gets down to your soil,
Shading the
the soil,
Okay.
and doing it either with black plastic. Red plastic is preferred, around tomatoes.
Oh, really?
We covered that last year. Red plastic,
I
for
forgot.
some reason, increases the productivity of tomatoes. I don't know why. I think there is a document that justifies it and talks about
Well,
it.
I believe in the marigolds for bug control. That helps. And I believe in the basil, whether that works or not, putting basil at either end of my tomatoes to sweeten the tomatoes.
Oh, that definitely works,
Oh,
yeah.
well, I've got it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, the water problem is you decrease the evaporation, but what if it rains like it did for a couple of days where it was an excess amount of rain? Now, we have the sheets that she was talking about that are 2 foot by, say, 10 foot, and if it rains too much, that's not a problem because I've planted all my tomatoes on a hill. I've healed up to them so that the water will run away from the crown, which is where you get most of your rot, right on the crown. Then the water goes away about 2 foot and is held in the valley that is away from the plant, and it's shaded by the plastic, which is covered by straw.
Now, there have been times where we've shed too much water away from the plant, and we've had to water even after a good rain.
Yes, we
because
have, yeah.
literally shed all the rain away from the plant.
Another benefit to this shedding away, though, is that your root structure is drawn out to the water. It doesn't stay confined into the center. Also, the nutrients, when you put them on, they go out into those troughs. And then the root
Yes.
structure is even more drawn out.
Good,
Once you
okay.
have all of that root structure, then it's less susceptible to drought. It's less susceptible even to flood by having more root structure, because flood causes root rot. So you get a decrease, depending on how long you get the heavy rains. You get some dying of the roots. Well, if you have 5 times as many roots, then you have 5 times as much recovery.
Well,
So-
I would like to hear if a caller would like to call. Maybe you don't have a question, but I would like to know if how many gardeners out there have already picked ripe tomatoes. I have picked several cherry tomatoes. That's been great. And then yesterday I picked one ripe yellow tomato and one ripe red tomato. Those were my first. So I'm kind of curious how other people are doing with their tomatoes right about now.
You've been doing fantastic with your squash, and this year we did something different. We planted the squash in the tomato bed because we try to rotate.
We do
our crops
rotate,
all the way
yes.
around. So we had this really nice tomato bed laid out with plastic
Got
underneath and
black
straw
plastic,
on top.
and there are holes, in a grid. And we had tomatoes, and like every
Yep,
other hole,
yep.
we use, alternate the holes
Kept
we
the
use.
weeds way down,
And
way
the straw
down.
on top of that. So we put the squash in those
You put the
holes.
squash in.
Well, yeah, I did. I actually grew them from seeds
She
as
did,
well.
yeah. She started them in her greenhouse.
So I probably put them too close together, too many of
Not
them.
too bad because you grew them up.
But here's the thing. I put tomato cages on these squash, the zucchini and the yellow summer squash. I put cages on them really to mark them so they wouldn't get stepped on and what have you. And then as they got bigger and things happened, I ignored them, whatever, I forgot, and I left the cages on there. Then the plants were growing through the cage, and I thought if I pulled the cage off, I might pull the plant up.
Do
So
some
I
damage.
decided to just leave the cages. Well, it's the darndest thing because the zucchini and yellow squash plants are growing upward instead of laying out on the ground. They're growing upward, and my zucchini are growing straight up.
And I know she's
it's
getting
cool.
a greater production. There are
Yes.
more yellow crookneck squash.
Yes.
There are more zucchini than there
Yes.
should be on a plant that would be laid flat and in one cluster.
And they're not laying on the
These
ground.
These are all the way on a column about
And they're not
2
getting
foot
that
tall.
rot. For a couple of years, we had trouble with rot with the, I don't know if it was grubs or what was getting into the stalk of my squash. It would look beautiful, make a couple of squash, and then, peter out and die from a
And
grub.
part of that has to do with the rotating of the crop, but part of it has to do with I did treat that area because we had we were going to rotate to vine
But keeping
crop.
it off the ground keeps it out of the mud, keeps it drier. Maybe that has something to do with my production, but I need your help. You haven't been out to see them at the squash. I've been doing all the picking here, and oh my gosh, I'm picking buckets and buckets of squash. I've given them to the owner of the trailer park out by us to give out to the people there. We've sent some home with family by the bucketful. I brought 2 bucketfuls down to the senior center, and oh boy, did they love to see that coming. However, I have first one plant looks like it started to yellow, and it's kind of starting to fade a little bit yellow. Now I notice I have another one in the next row.
And you have fertilized.
Okay.
Fertilizer is the key.
Are you talking granular or?
Foliar or granular?
I've
either
never
one.
granular, honestly, and I have
They
not.
could use that, but
hit 'em with the
plants
liquid in a while.
are not. They don't grow indefinitely. They
Right,
don't produce
okay, right.
indefinitely. So it could be that they've lived to the end of their production.
And it is.
cycle.
They are close together. Maybe it's
A little bit,
elimination.
yeah, but no, I think you've done a good job by growing up, and your watermelons are fantastic
Oh,
over
they're
those
beautiful.
bales of straw.
Yes.
By growing them up and over, it gives the watermelon a lot more room of expansion. That's true with any
Well,
vine
I thought
crop.
one was ripe, one of these watermelons.
Yeah,
It was beautiful. And
we got in a hurry.
I looked on the seed packet and it said if you thump it and it sounds hollow in the middle and it should be white or yellow or lighter on one side. Well, it wasn't. It wasn't white on one side, but I thought, well, I better get it before the groundhogs do. I think it's ready. I brought it in, cut it in half, ruined it. It is not ready. So I will definitely wait.
She has 20 other ones out there that
I'll
are coming
wait for
on.
that light color to come on.
If you have
and-
any hints or tricks, these are sugar babies.
They're sugar babies, and they're growing. I planted 3 plants on either side of 3 bales of straw. So they're growing up and over and like this.
And then they have plastic around the straw and
yes,
straw.
So they're all
plastic, and
growing
then straw
on
top of that.
straw, not dirt or directly on
I noticed
hot
they were
plastic.
starting to get out in the grass. We got to add
I know.
another section.
They really are
They're
growing
going
out.
wild.
I keep trying to train them back to the bales of straw, but
Then we've got a dog cage that we have used and reused and reused again.
This
you
is
know, I had a
awesome.
video of all of this,
Yep.
and it was on a chip.
and they said the chip was blank.
No, I think someone might have. Did you erase that?
How could I erase it?
Well, when
You
we
think
were
I
driving into town, did you do this?
No, I didn't do that. No.
Well, maybe they forgot to rewind it.
Yeah, be kind, rewind.
There you go.
Yeah, when we first started using DVDs, I said, honey, don't forget to rewind that. And he kind of looked at it for a minute, had him going. Yes, I did.
Yeah. Okay. Your
All right.
husband is a dingbat.
Moving on. So, first 3 callers, getting a lavender plant.
And we're going to add to that with a couple
surprise
of
plant.
her squash that she's raised.
But you have to come get the plant out at our sale,
Yep.
which we are down on 121. We are 1 mile south of the Nulltown store on 121, which is about
Free stuff.
5 miles south of town on 121.
And you know what? If nobody calls in, I'm going to give it to the people that show up out there.
Okay, well, give
also,
them, yes.
let's add to that pot
Okay.
one of your surprise plants that are, we don't know. They were labeled.
I have
The-
Swiss chard plants if you like the lettuce and
Swiss
kale
chard is
and-
the best.
Yes,
you have
it's
to
good.
grow at least 2 Swiss chard plants.
It's like a spinach that is not bitter. I
Oh,
don't
it's
like
deli-
spinach.
I can
but
eat it
love
right
this
off.
stuff.
Just cut it right out in the field.
It's good.
and
So I've
eat
got a
it.
lot of those
Delicious.
plants left. And now I bought some seeds online, and they are supposed to be giant coxcomb. The
Giant
red
coxcomb,
with the
big
wavy,
giant.
like the roosters have, right?
Right.
Okay, well, that's what they were supposed to be. I have been growing them for 2 months now. They finally have a fuzzy thing on top, but it has yet to show any
It's
signs
not
of being
opening up.
got
There's
It
no
looks like
color.
a weed to me. I
I
think I
think
got
it might need
bamboozled.
to get in the ground.
Do you?
Yeah, I think it needs to get in the ground
Okay,
and get
well,
fertilized.
I'll try it. Maybe I've been bamboozled and bought weed seeds because it looks a lot like a
but
weed.
they all look alike, so you bought the same weed seed
That's
anyway.
true. So I'll put some in the ground and
So
fertilize.
You may
Hit
have done good.
Hit the
But I did.
squash
I
and
had a
everything.
fantastic video of all of our beautiful daylilies we have.
Yes,
We have
everything's blooming.
55 colors, I think,
Ah,
of
that's
daylilies.
beautiful.
Great big giant ones, miniature ones, doubles, yellows, reds, pinks, lavenders, salmons, some that are yellow with black hearts.
Two-tones.
Some that are ever blooming, some that are intermittent blooming,
That's right.
some that are extremely tall, some that are extremely small. Then we have hostas, tons of hostas. We have grasses, and more grasses. So, come on out and see
This
us.
Saturday-
We're thinning out, so the prices are right. I
And
can
this
tell you
is
that.
the invitation. There will not be an
There's
ad.
no ad, there's no nothing. I'm going to mention it on Facebook and right here at TV3. Now, if you want to
Keep
call
it
somebody
simple.
and say, come on out.
Sure, come on
down
down.
121. We're going to put a sign out at the end of the
Yep,
road
you'll
just so
see
you
us.
know which line,
Absolutely.
which place to turn. What's it going to say on the sign? Plant sale?
Sale, yes, absolutely.
Okay, we'll put that up by the mailbox or somewhere. Oh, by the
It
post
will.
over there. or
Yep,
something.
I had a big square sign last time I did a plant sale
we'll
by the
just
road.
Put a sign
so-
up. There'll
Yeah.
be one sign, and then if you come out, fine, and if
All
you
right.
don't, that's fine too. Because
And if you
I'm
call, you
tired.
get a freebie.
That's right. So call into the live show, and we'll give you a freebie, and we might add to that before the end of the show, also.
Okay, what else we got
But the
going
calls
on?
came in. The calls were about overfeeding or overwatering, and when to fertilize. When to fertilize, I forgot to tell you something about watering. Hanging baskets, I strongly recommend that you have a large container, like a 5-gallon bucket, that you can occasionally take the plant down and set it in the bucket to absorb all the water that it needs to get into it. And preferably have some
Dip it in a tub and let it absorb like a sponge.
kind of a tub that you can put the whole thing in there, and just leave it there until it has soaked up all the water it
Right.
needs. Then hang it up the drain, because it will be quite
Because
heavy.
really, if they are hanging in the sunlight, they need to be watered every day. That's been my experience.
And my
every
biggest
day.
biggest
and
tip,
I mean watered, water, not just sprinkled on.
Yeah.
They need to be watered.
my biggest tip would be, if you get a hanging basket, you have it right now. Turn it upside down, take it out of the pot, cut the roots, and put it in a larger pot. Why would you cut the roots? Because the roots are all root bound and they're kind of going around in a circle. So you want to slice them from one side to the other in a star, so that you're going both ways like you would with a big pizza, just cutting it twice. Be very careful and use a sharp knife. And this is not something you want two people to do, because you lose control.
Right,
You don't
okay.
have control of the knife. Okay, put it in a larger pot and line that larger pot with the
Some new potting
soil that has fertilizer
Yes.
and moisture bead control,
Yeah.
or moisture control.
Don't scrimp on that.
Yeah, don't chintz on the potting soil, and go to a larger pot. I'm talking 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, the biggest pot you can find for a hanging basket.
And that new soil acts like a shot of fertilizer too. It really
It
does.
will jump that plant into the next ozone, because it'll be less watering, it will be very robust in its blossom, and it will last all the way through until it freezes. If you don't do that, your hanging basket decreases in size, decreases in blossom, and becomes more and more problem of watering, because it uses up all the soil, and there's
Yes.
nothing left in
And
there
I think
but roots.
by the time you get it, by the time it's fully grown and you buy it, it's almost fully full of root as it is.
It's almost
Most
root-bound
of that soil.
when you get it.
Right. So what you're doing is you're pouring water kind of through the roots. You're not really, there's not enough soil in there to absorb and hold on to that water anymore, unless you pot it like you're saying, yes.
If you have tap water, then you want to leave the tap water in a 1-gallon container, opened, city water I'm talking about.
Yeah, chlorinated.
And let all of the stuff
Just like you would a fish
evaporate.
tank, you have
Yeah.
to leave the water sit out 24 hours.
Put in some fertilizer every single time you water a house plant, or a hanging basket, that is an annual.
Yes.
You want to fertilize it, because it's only going to bloom for
The entire
4-month
time
period.
it's blooming, which is
Boom,
the
boom,
whole
boom, boom, boom,
time you
dead.
have it,
Boom,
right?
boom, 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 boom,
yes.
So you want the best, the
Bang for the
greatest,
buck.
yeah. And same thing with your plants. Now, don't fertilize your tomatoes too early, because you're going to have nothing but green growth. They're going to be 12 foot tall and have no tomatoes on them. And then they're going to break over, and they're still not
I
going to
think
have
I
tomatoes
have
on
some of that.
Well, you don't. It's the plants that we selected.
Okay, because I
And-
did use a lot of fertilizer early on, but I do see
But you
quite
didn't use high nitrogen.
Okay, but they are
Well,
busting
maybe
out
you
of their
did, or did
cages.
you?
I didn't tie them in very well. I
What
don't
did
know.
you use? Miracle Grow?
Yeah. I just keep spraying them and spraying them, yes. But I haven't in quite a while.
Okay. Initially, they should not be fertilized with a high nitrogen fertilizer because they go to all green top. You don't want that. You want to allow the plant to develop with a low nitrogen, high phosphorus, high potash with all of the trace minerals possible, which you get in Peters or some of the other ones.
Man, I learn more on this show than I do at home, living with the garden doctor. Isn't that
dear
something?
me.
Okay.
And then once it starts to blossom and once you start to see fruit set, then you can increase the nitrogen.
Okay.
But you don't want too much nitrogen because it'll cause the fruit to grow too fast and crack.
Okay.
You do not want that. You don't want that in cucumbers. You don't want that in tomatoes. You want to allow the fruit time to develop properly, quickly, but properly. So you push it a little, but not too much. So I recommend something around a 10 or a 12, like 10, 10, 10, 12, 12, 12.
Okay.
That kind of thing. But I really like the trace elements. So if you live in the city and you don't have rabbits as a problem, then I would strongly recommend that you use an organic that has seaweed in it, kelp, same thing. We can't do that in the country unless it's inside the fence because the deer will, and the rabbits will.
Yeah, we use
And
this
they'll eat it all.
this dog pen for our garden, and a guy who came over to
Well, that's
get
for
some
part of
squash,
our garden.
He says, "You're cheating." He said, "That's just cheating because he knows how the groundhogs and rabbits and everything just tear up your garden." And
And the groundhog can tunnel under that, but they haven't yet.
But it's pretty well protected in there.
But we are able to grow things in there in the early season when
Yes.
there's nothing else around, and that's when you really get 8 out of house and home. When you put in the cabbage, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, and all that stuff, and it's just starting, and here they come because that's the greenest thing there is. We plant ours in March, which you need to get ready right now for your fall garden, which goes in about the middle of August. That's when we start.
I need to be starting my cucumbers right now.
Actually,
fall squash
no, it's time
or
to
melons.
plant your third crop of cucumbers. It'll be a third or fourth? Third.
Oh, yeah. Now
Third
I've
crop
done
of
very
cucumbers.
well.
This is the last time you're going to plant tomatoes. And you can get a tomato plant off your old tomatoes that you have right now. Pinch the suckers out, stick them in the ground.
Start your own
Yeah.
plants
And
from
you may
cuttings.
have to cover that plant once, twice, 3 times when you get a light frost in the fall. We get 2 or 3 of them, you know, and they don't
early,
amount to nothing. And you just cover it up for that little short period of time, and you're going to have fruit. I've had fruit right up through and past Thanksgiving. Tomatoes through Thanksgiving.
Now we have reduced the size of our garden this year.
Oh, yeah,
But I have 1 row of green beans,
Still have
probably
2 damn many
no longer
cucumbers.
than this
or, I
table.
mean, tomatoes.
And I tell you, I have picked green beans 4 times now, and each time is enough for 2 of
Yeah,
us. or
it's
4
probably the
people
length
to
of
have-
this table,
It is.
that's it, yeah.
And it's been enough for a meal for 4, and I've probably on my 4th picking. And the lady I spoke to the other day said she hadn't gotten any green beans yet. So again, I'm very curious what's happening with your garden out there. Call in and let us know if you've picked any green beans yet. I would love to know.
And we'll add to that pot of free stuff.
Uh-oh.
Now you've got, what do we got?
Okay, we got a lavender plant. We have a surprise vegetable plant. We have
Squash.
We have free squash because I'll have
Maybe
yellow
even a
crookneck
cucumber
squash.
thrown in there.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't do too many cucumbers, and you're pretty particular about keeping your
we could be-
cucumbers.
Okay, so we're going to add one more thing. We'll add your choice of daylilies.
A single?
We'll give them 3 singles.
Oh
3 singles.
boy, we're
For
getting
the
quite a
first,
pot
second,
here.
and third, you're going to 3 colors. That's it.
Well, and part of the issue is we are a call-in show, and we kind of have to be accountable to our station and station manager as to why we don't have any phone calls on our call-in show. So we need you to call in, and we're trying to bribe you with free stuff. So call
And let me
in
tell
for
you
us.
what happened. I was up at the, probably shouldn't say this,
Uh-oh.
but I was up at the local grocery store, Kroger's, and I was walking down the aisle, and this lady comes up and she says, "Oh, should I ask you the question now or wait and call in?" I said, "Well, wait and call in." She says, "Okay, well, I'm going to get home in time to do that." And I said,
Uh-oh.
"What did you say?" I honestly had forgotten that we had a show after the 4th of July, between the 4th and the 9th of
He
July,
thought it
which
was
happens
holiday week, and yes, his birthday is coming Monday. Yay, 66!
July.
He made it this far.
You can call in and wish me a happy birthday.
right.
Early happy
That's
birthday.
right.
Okay, so that lady came up and wanted to ask me a question. And the second lady that I ran into around the corner, she says, I'm going to get off early enough to get home tonight. She said, I always miss your shows. And I'm going, oh my gosh. I said, by the way, are you going to call in tonight? Now, if you're listening right now, either one of you two, call in and verify that you were up there at the store and that you stopped me and that you told me that
Identify yourself.
you asked me a question that I am not going to answer on the show unless you call in.
There you go. You better call.
As a matter of fact, the second lady started to ask the question.
Nope.
I said, call in, call in. But you know what people tell me? They don't call in because they don't want to lose the momentum of the show.
They think they're interrupting
They'll
or something.
interrupt. That's what the call-in show is all about. You call in, you interrupt, we answer your question, and believe it or not, it will be the same question that 100 other people have that you just have got
And
the
guess
guts
what?
to ask.
We have our first caller of the evening.
Good evening,
All
and you're
right.
on the line with Mr. and Mrs. Garden Doctor. What can we do for you? Hello. Justin, you got him in there?
Hello. Are you there? You're live on the air with the Garden Doctor.
We're having a technical...
Oh, technical issue. If you, that was
No problem. We're going to let
That's
that
okay.
caller, we're going to let them get that solved in there. We're ready for another caller. Just give them all kinds of trouble in there.
If you
Call
got-
in one right after
if
another.
you got disconnected,
Confuse
call back.
things. Make it difficult.
Don't do that to him.
And we thank you very much for your call, by
Yes.
the way. And we hope that you are still online or that you call
And
us
that
back.
you still come out to the sale on
Yes,
Saturday.
come on out Saturday. Now, we want to talk about some things that are
Yes.
going on in Connorsville. One of the things that's near and dear to our heart is the fishing, the water activities that the
Yes.
reason that I moved here from Indianapolis was so that I could be closer to Brookville Lake. I had about 10 different nurseries that I was looking at to buy. I was the president of the Indiana Nurserymen's Association. I knew where all the nurseries were that were for sale in Indiana and Ohio. And I wanted to get out of the city and into a rural area. And are we online?
She's back. Okay.
Is she back?
Do we
Yes,
have
go
you?
ahead. Do we have you?
Hello.
We're still working on it, and we'll continue to work on it until we get her. As a matter of fact,
That's
if we
all
have
right.
to pass notes through pigeons, we'll do that too, because I know where there's a lot of pigeons.
But we love the water, and we love fishing in the river and in the lake and all
We
the
live
rivers.
on the river,
Yes.
and we try to live on the lake. All right, let's go
Let's-
back to the caller. Yes, you're on the air with the Garden Doctor. What can we do for you?
Hello.
Just jump in anytime you want to. You can go ahead.
That's all right. You definitely get points for trying. We appreciate it very much.
And we're going to write down your name, and you can come
He's
on out and
got you
get
on
your free.
caller ID probably,
Yeah,
so
we will.
we'll call you or
And
get something
call us
going.
back. So, rivers, streams, they drew me to this community, and I hunted in Brookville Lake before Brookville Lake was filled up. I walked the whole bottom of that lake from the top to the bottom, down
That's
all over
cool,
the
yeah.
dam and everything while the dam was being created. And I used to come down here and camp all over the lake area, the property, before with my brother-in-law, and we had this bus, and we parked it. We just had a wonderful time, and I decided, this was a great community. But then a nursery became available, Neil Seed Landscape. Well, at the time it was Neil Seed, and I added the landscape.
Okay.
And so, but the reason I came here was because of the rivers and streams. And I'm very concerned that after this being one of the cleanest rivers in the state of Indiana, all of a sudden it was so polluted that we're not even supposed to walk in it for more than 20 minutes. You're not supposed to expose your skin to the water.
Or
oh,
eat
it
the
was
fish
terrible.
from it.
Yeah,
more
and
than
then, and her and I and our youngest son walked that river from Cambridge City all the way down to the Ohio River, and we know we literally have walked every inch of it.
Yes,
and
we
didn't
have.
know we were exposing ourselves to some pretty bad situations.
And have seen some pretty disgraceful messes left on
just
the
horrible
riverbank.
stuff up and down.
Especially during white bass season in the spring, people seem to just leave their
other
packages. They
fort that
open
comes
something
in-
and leave their package, leave their worms, leave their trash, leave their food.
We bring a small trash bag with us, like a kitchen trash bag. We used to bring the black ones. I can't carry them out of the woods.
carry
They were
out.
so full we couldn't carry them. So we started bringing a smaller trash bag.
Every bit helps. Carry it out.
And we
it's
try
pick it
to
up.
leave with at least that much. Now, there is a program
Yes.
called River Cleanup.
Now they do this every year. This is the 9th annual Whitewater River Cleanup. It is going to be Saturday, July 14th. Now put this on your calendar because they really like to have people show up to help out for this. It's 8 in the morning they get starting to noon, and they will provide lunch, so you're going to get a meal out of it. Start at 8 in the morning, and they
Wait a
start.
minute, I never got a meal.
And they start at the canoe rental at the campground on 121.
We all should know where that is.
Are you there?
Campground.
Yes, I'm there. Yes, hello.
I'm not hearing you.
Oh, I think we have a caller.
We
Can
can
you
hear
us
you,
now?
but you're having trouble hearing us now. Well, we got one issue solved anyway.
Can you hear us?
Are we connected yet?
Yes, we are. Can you hear
Well,
us?
she can't hear us, but we can hear her. Anytime you can hear us, just cut right on in. So this rivers and stream thing is just south
Okay,
of
I
town.
hear you now.
All right.
All right,
Go on
wonderful.
ahead. Oh,
Yes.
We're glad to hear your voice. Thank you.
We got
Okay.
got the bugs out. What can we do for you, dear?
Okay, it's for my daughter.
All right.
She lives up in Lafayette, and she has this community garden
Okay.
that
like
she has a
those.
plot in. But she has a problem now. She's got poison ivy coming in, encroaching her plants, and she's wanting to know how to get rid of the poison ivy.
Oh boy. Okay. She has a problem because the product that will kill the poison ivy will also inevitably, I don't know any way around it, it will kill the vegetable plants that she has growing there. So the
only way is to pull it by the roots and
there are,
eradicate
well,
it.
no, that won't
do
eradicate it. No. What has happened there is somebody did not treat that initially, and they allowed the root structure to remain, and they just kind of burnt off the top or did something, and all of the roots of that poison ivy are down underneath there.
Oh, boy.
She has a serious issue, and I doubt it will be able to be solved this year, especially if she's allergic to poison ivy.
That she is.
But
Oh,
yeah,
that's a shame.
that makes it just horrible.
It
Now
is.
there is a solution, of course, depending on what she has planted and the maturity of those plants. If the plot beside it, immediately adjacent to it, is available, she may be able to till down in that area and transplant some of her plants over. She should use the Playtex gloves that come up to her elbows. She should put on the ivy protection onto her hands and her arms before she starts, because if you put the protection on and the glove on, then your protection is so much increased. And she should also, I've transplanted tomato plants when they were, like 1.5 feet tall. Just prune them back some, dig them up, and set them right over
Well,
beside.
I have a question. I know we've talked about you surgically applying, say, Roundup. What if you have the rubber gloves and then the cloth
Well,
gloves on
that's-
top,
yeah.
wet the cloth glove in that killer product, and just touch the poison ivy leaves and stem?
It will
Would that
kill
do
the
it?
poison ivy, but if it's in proximity and the roots
Okay.
are entwined, and they are,
Okay, so if
with
it's
the
even
vegetable,
close, that won't work.
no, you have to
Aw.
dig the vegetable out of the poison ivy, because poison ivy is a blanket carpet. It's not just one vine.
Yeah, I've
People think
noticed
it's one
that when I'm
string.
pulling it in my own garden bed, it is a network of
it's
roots underneath.
And where she's doing this, I would suspect that this is new ground, and that the ground should have been sterilized to begin with. And if she is going to use that ground next year, this is a good time to start her sterilization. And that would be to either do it chemically, which is to allow the poison ivy to get about 15 inches in length or height or less, and then spray it with a certified poison ivy vine killer. It's going to take that about 3 months to get out of the soil. So
Wow.
she can't plant anything for 3 months. Then she should cover that soil with black plastic and nail it down so that the ground is protected from further infestation of seeds from above and growth from below. Without sunlight, plants can't survive. So then, sometime late in the fall, she would take this black plastic off, check to see if there's anything that has resprouted, and spray it again, because she has until next spring.
Right. Okay.
Then the ideal process is to use, I forget the terminology, it just escaped me. I had it for a moment.
Uh-oh.
It's solar burn, where you cover the area with clear plastic during the summer months, which would be now, and you let the sun just burn the ground. If you're not going to do it chemically, you can do it by burning, drying it out. So you use a clear plastic that's not going to deteriorate quickly. It will deteriorate in about 3 months. And cover the ground and let the sun just bake it. And this can eradicate that particular spot. But the minute you turn that soil,
You turn it up again.
you bring up more weed seeds.
Well, let me ask you this. You've talked about how you may be able to eradicate it for next year, possibly in the year after, because as we know,
Oh, you can get rid of it.
any new bed that you turn up, be it for flowers or anything else, the lawn and nature tries to reclaim that bed for about 3 years.
Exactly.
And if you can keep it under control for about 3 years, you can pretty much
Every year for
maintain
3
it.
years, it'll
But I have
decrease
a
by
question.
50%.
What if, for right now, let's say, here's your tomato plant going on and you have poison ivy growing, and if you can cut it at the base and pull the vine out, you're not killing it, but you can keep it off your plants.
Yeah,
You can keep it away from
that
being
is
all
the-
over you.
That was the last approach, and that is to raise your tomato plants up so that you can visibly see what's going on under them. And you're going to have to deal with the fact that she's allergic to poison
Just
ivy.
keep cutting it off as
And
it
if
sprouts.
she walks out in there
Yeah.
or uses her, she could be in trouble.
Well, she may not be a good gardener this year.
may not be able to garden in that particular
I wish we could be
location.
of more help in that regard.
Poison ivy is a lot more aggressive than people realize, and it's not just the vines that grow up the trees. It's if it's tilled up in an area where all the roots are chopped, then you've got millions of plants instead of one major root.
Right.
If you take the seeds and disperse them as opposed to letting them concentrate in one spot, now you have this whole blanket of poison ivy. We were just down to the lake at the Quakertown swimming beach, and I went walking through to look at the bluebird houses, and in between where they haven't mowed is solid poison ivy.
Oh my.
It's just a mat of it, and the kids were running back and forth barefoot.
Oh no.
So I told the kids about the poison ivy, and they just shrugged it
They didn't
off.
care,
But
okay.
Mom wasn't there, you know.
Till
so-
later, anyhow.
But-
Now, I wonder, does the whole community garden have the poison ivy in it, or is it just near the tomatoes? Or
Well, each one of them, they don't know where their plot's going to be, so this is a different plot than she had last year.
Oh, boy.
And then they may not even have it this next year because they're going to be doing some more new construction because it's several apartments there.
and I love the
Oh,
idea
yeah.
of community gardens. That is such a great idea for everyone
Right.
to get together, and everyone does a little bit of the work, and everybody gets to share in the proceeds of the garden. I love that idea.
I set up a couple of very large community gardens back in the late 80s, early 90s. And we had to go in and eradicate, just get rid of everything that was in there. And some of these pasture lands had just been allowed to just grow up. And we had an area that was right where interstates come together. As a matter of fact, it's still used for a community garden now. Nobody wanted to live there. Nobody
Right.
wanted to build there, so they gave it to us for this purpose. But we, if she can get on some kind of a committee or a board, and they can follow the practices of the, I want to say the University of Wisconsin, but I'm not really sure. If she searches on the internet, setting up community gardens, I believe that's the one.
Will they tell you how to get your ground
They've
free
got,
and clear and ready
they've
to
got
go?
a fantastic program
Okay.
where they will even do the soil sample, even if it's not in the same state, for free. And so you know what to add, whether to put in gypsum or
Lime
or
or-
what type of lime. You know, there's 4 different kinds of lime,
Yeah.
and there's only,
Powdered and the pelletized.
well,
and
there's
then,
the Dolomites and the,
Oh, right. Okay.
there's different types that do different things, and then of course there's gypsum. So if she could get on some kind of the committee that is responsible for doing this, and a little bit better guidelines, I think it would become popular enough where you would have enough support, and this can explode. We went from 20 gardens the first year down to 5 gardens.
Oh.
Then we went to 200. So I don't know why the jump. I don't know what happened.
Are there any community gardens here in Connorsville?
There was going to be.
There was going to be one downtown by the Canal House, is it?
I don't know. There was going to be one, but I don't know.
And isn't there one in the park? There's one up at Roberts Park. I saw
be.
some tomato plants and things, and I think
I
that's a
think that
community
one
garden.
up the park is the one with the Discovery Kids or somewhere.
I think so.
Discovery
Yeah, I
Kid,
think that's
okay.
the.
Because I thought I saw some tomato plants up
And
there.
there was going to be one that the Future Farmers was going to do too.
Well,
for
I
their
think
kids.
it's a great idea, really. I
I
mean,
don't
you
know
know,
if they do
food is food, and food's expensive. So,
I
know,
think
and to
everybody's
share,
front lawn should be a garden.
and everybody needs more vegetables
She's
in their
kind of like your
diet.
son too. She likes the nutritious food.
That's right.
She doesn't like doing all these sprays and stuff either. She tries to
I
do
know,
as
it's
naturally as
hard.
possible.
And the
Now-
flavor is better. The tomatoes, you know,
Yeah.
they're picked green and shipped to us. Everything is picked green and sent to us. To pick a ripe tomato, there's nothing like that flavor.
She
that
will
you
be
get.
absolutely amazed at how much she can grow in a containerized garden
It doesn't take much
at her
space.
house if she looks into it a little bit. But don't be fooled into the shallow ones. Get the good deep ones.
Deep.
And we were really amazed at the amount of production. That
Now
could
we do hope you're going to come out to our house on Saturday
And bring company with you.
and
Bring
come
friends.
and get your free lavender plant. And if you will give your name to the nice gentleman in the control booth after we say goodbye to you, we'll make sure and know who you are when you come down. Okay?
Well, I don't drive anymore. I'm Jeff Nestor's mother.
Jeff Nestor.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
Harold remembers him back when it kneels.
Yes.
Back
yes.
years ago.
Wow. How is Jeff doing?
He's doing fine. My baby's 51 years old now.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh!
do you know where
That
she
was
lives?
One of my favorite. Yeah, you still live up in Offutt's Park,
Beeson's.
Beeson Station,
Right.
up by the church up there.
Right.
I'm trying to think of the exact. Well, give them your
Yeah,
your
give it to
address,
them,
and we
and
will drop it by.
Since you don't drive anymore, we will drop off to you a lavender plant for calling in for us. We sure appreciate it.
Okay,
and
I'll
it
get
will be
Jeffrey
no
to dig it up and
inconvenience. It'll
plant
be
it
a
for me.
pleasure to
All
see
right,
you.
very
be a
good.
joy to see you. Thank you very much for
Okay,
your
thank
call.
you.
Thanks
And
for
happy
calling.
birthday, Harold.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Jeff was one of my favorite workers. I tell you,
51, huh?
if you gave him a project, you had to be careful. You had to tell him that the project is over now, Jeff. Okay, keep right
you
on
keep right
trucking.
on working?
Yeah.
Oh, my.
One night I went out there to water my plants, and he was still out there on the back side cleaning up all of the stuff in the back, and there was no light.
Oh, my goodness.
But he
You
was a
stick
worker.
right to it?
He was a worker.
Well, let
yeah.
me finish this up. Now, mark your calendar, July 14th, 8 a.m. Go down to the campground on 121 and work for 4 hours. Picking up trash along the riverside is what they do. And believe it or not, the one thing they collect the most of, for some reason, is auto parts. Rusty auto parts, be it metal, some tires. Of course, there's
Lots
lots
of tires.
paper and plastic and other things, but clean up the river for 4 hours, get a free meal out of the deal, and do a good thing for your environment.
And
July
somebody
14th.
please organize a
Please.
cleanup for the feeder river that comes into Brookville Lake, for crying out loud. I will come over and help you. Just if there is already one organized, call me and tell me about it, because that place is a mess up there. We
It
wipe
is.
bass fish up there, and you got to walk around the bottles and cans and bed springs and
It's
deer
terrible.
carcasses.
There's
and-
actually one place we fish, and it's called the dump. By
The
the
trash
trash
pile.
pile.
It's
Let's
called
go.
the trash
Well, where are you
pile.
going to fish today? Down by Big Dog or by the trash pile? You know,
That's
just
horrible
terrible.
to have that for a nickname.
It is.
Okay, we got a lot of stuff to cover before we end.
Well, another
we're running
thing
down
going
time.
on too is the new session for swimming lessons begins July 10th. Now that's Tuesday. Okay, and
I
it
need
starts
swimming
at 10
lessons
a.m.
on how to swim with all my weight on
And
and
it's
my
only
vest,
a
my
45
boots.
minute. It's really worth the time. It's less than an hour, probably runs to about an hour. It's on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And these swimming lessons are so very important this time of year. Just I heard on the news yesterday, they all went to a big house for a big
Yep,
party and
yep, yep.
cookout, and a toddler was found unresponsive in the bottom of a pool. And if a child can just learn to swim to the edge or to roll over and float, it could save a life.
It could
So,
save a life.
please.
800 people, on average, per year are
wow.
drowned or injured, severely injured, in some type of something that has to do with the water.
Now I want to talk about the blue-green algae. It's that time of year. It's hot. It's water that
The
sits
hotter
still.
it gets, the hotter the water gets, the more sunshine we have,
Yes.
the more bloom we have.
We get algae bloom right now. There is an alert for Whitewater Memorial State Park, an alert for the blue-green algae.
Now, there are different categories of an alert.
Right, now this is an alert saying that you should not drink the water, okay? And it says low risk. Don't drink the water, shower after you swim, and it's indicated with a blue diamond on the sign. Now, another thing, when it says don't drink the water, because it can be harmful to pets, if you bring your pet to the lake, in fact, I saw a lady leaving the other day and with her dog, she said, well, they said I shouldn't bring my dog because he might drink the water. I could see the dog was wet, and I said, ma'am, if your dog has already gotten wet, please take it home and give it a bath, because if it has that blue-green algae on its fur, they lick their fur, and it's the same as drinking the water, and pets have died from doing so. So please, if you bring your pets, please rinse them off, give them a bath after.
Yeah,
but we do have an alert.
We make a lot of fun of these symptoms on TV. Well, your eyeballs will fall
Right.
out of your head and all of this kind of stuff.
Right.
One of the symptoms of blue-green algae for pets is death.
Yes.
That's a pretty serious symptom.
Now, they do testing regularly. The next testing is July 9th and 10th, Monday and Tuesday, and they will be testing
And they
Brookville
just
Lake.
did it July the 2nd,
Well,
so they're on this.
they're on it
they're checking
regularly.
it. But you got to look at the sign.
You gotta look at the
because
alerts.
next sign is a yellow diamond sign.
Right.
And the yellow diamond means what?
Do not allow your pets to swim or drink where algae is present, indicated with a yellow diamond sign. That's called an advisory.
And then
okay,
the next
you
one?
have an alert, which is low risk. You have an advisory, then you have a caution, and then you have closed.
Now, the caution is an orange.
The caution is an orange diamond. Now, which sign is this on?
There's
the
a diamond as
main-
you go into the beach, and then there's one at the beach.
Okay.
And there's also one usually at the where you come in to
See,
sign
I had
in.
no idea till I saw this that there was even diamonds.
Yeah, well, people are not looking for them. As a matter of fact, they think they're caution signs or something. I
Oh,
don't know.
right, okay.
So, but if you see this diamond, our red diamond, it
The
means
beach is closed.
It's closed.
It's unsafe.
And it's way unsafe.
Unsafe to swim
Stay
in.
the heck away
If
from
you don't
it.
want to touch it, get it on your skin, anything.
And this is a good time to boat at a different location and
Yes.
look for, there are different areas of the lake that won't have the bloom in it.
Right.
They are concentrated in certain sections where the water is the most stagnant,
Right.
and where we have certain influx of the fertilizers that are
Runoff.
excessively put on the field.
And then when we have a lot of rain, and then it gets real hot because you get a lot of runoff, and then you get those 90-degree days and the heat and everything. And so, yes, watch your advisories and really be careful. And
And it really
no
is
matter what.
blue-green. It is blue-green.
no matter what it is or isn't, when we get the kids and take them swimming or into the lake, we always go to the shower house and rinse off. Bring shampoo and everything and clean up in the shower house, or go home directly and everybody take a shower one by one.
I have to tell you something that's funny. My youngest grandson will probably
Joe.
have a fit, but he couldn't wait to tell everybody in his family about this family shower that we took.
Are we going to take a family shower again, he says, and
This-
his mother looks at us like, what kind of creepiness is
We
this?
did not do a family shower. Okay?
No.
The family went in
To the shower house at the beach at, I forget which one it was.
fully.
It's a wide
We got our
open
bathing
beach.
suits on.
And it was the woman's side, but he's a little boy, so we brought him with us. And
We
you
didn't
know,
want him to be over there by
because
himself.
otherwise at home we have to take
'Cause
showers.
I was in the boat. I was
one
fixing
by
the boat.
one, 5 people, one by one.
Yeah.
You know, 3 grandkids. Whereas at the shower house, we can all get it done at once. Get it out of your ears, get it out of your eyes, get it out of your nose, get it out of
Especially
your
your
hair.
hair.
We bring shampoo, wash the hair, everything, but we are fully clothed in our bathing suits. This is not a creepy
Because you
family
got to wash
shower.
off that too. And he
Rinse
told
out your
everybody
suit.
it was the greatest
It was the
shower I
greatest.
ever taken.
Oh my gosh, he's so funny.
Oh dear. Matter
my
of fact,
gosh.
we were compared to Disney World. Is that Disney World or Land?
Disney World in Florida they went to, and it was so
They
hot.
went down. It was miserably hot.
Waited in line for 2 hours at a time.
and then the ride would be 5 seconds long,
Right.
5 minutes or 8
Well,
minutes.
we took him out on the pontoon boat, and we have a 3-man tow behind, and he hits the waves, and we're skipping and hanging on for dear life. I'm still sore from it. I'm too old for this business. But little Joe says, "Wow, Grandpa, Disney World has nothing on you."
We didn't have to wait in line or nothing, and we rode all day.
I said, after all the money his mother spent, please don't tell her that. But it was a good time. Good time.
Can blue-green algae make your pet sick? This is the headline.
Absolutely.
Yes, it can.
Can
What does
kill them.
blue-green algae look like? It's blue and it's green, and it looks like pond scum, like frog spit. You know what frog spit looks
Says it
like?
can look like film, crust, or puff balls at the surface. It might also look like grass clippings or dots in the water.
Yeah, it can be misleading. It doesn't have to be a great big giant section of green.
I consider it's invisible, that it's in there no matter what you see. That's how I
Now,
figure.
here's something that is not covered enough. You catch fish out of Brookville Lake and out of Whitewater State Park and so forth that have, when you pull them out, they got blue-green algae internally
Ooh.
and externally. When you
Didn't know
fillet one of those fish, do not puncture the intestines. And there is a special section in here, I don't know where it is, that says don't eat the guts of the
Avoid
fish.
eating the guts where accumulation may be the greatest.
If you have a problem with eating guts of fish, I'm here to
and
warn
it says
you,
do not,
don't do that.
Do not cut into the organs when
Yeah,
filleting.
don't cut in there because in the internal organs of this fish are the concentration of the algae.
And rinse with clean water.
Well, they don't say to rinse the outside of the fish.
No, rinse
I
the
strongly
fillets.
suggest that before
I
you
would say
start to
so.
fillet, that you
Yeah.
rinse the outside of this fish,
Scrub
not
off
with
the
the water
slime.
from the lake.
No, right.
Scrub off the outside
I like
of the
that
fish.
idea. You're going to reduce it all
And
the way
I
around.
put the hose inside the mouth of the fish.
Flush them right
I
through.
don't flush through. No, I
Not
just rinse out the
Clean
the
out their mouth?
Yeah, I do, really.
Well, there, got their mouth in the water. Good.
Then you
Sounds
fillet
like
them
a
out
good reason.
and flush off the fillet and don't puncture the internal organs. Okay, so is drinking the water safe? Well, the water you're drinking is not directly from the lake.
Right.
The water is actually, it goes through a purification system before,
Through the water table and everything else.
well,
yes.
the drinking fountains and everything
right,
that are
that's
at the
not
lake.
lake water.
That's not lake water.
That's, you know,
it actually
piped
has,
in
has
water.
been cycled.
Right.
Yeah.
And it says we have had this blue-green algae throughout history. The reason we're having the increased and more frequent blooms of it is because it's the release of nutrients into our rivers
Which is
and streams.
fertilizers and
Nutrients,
particularly phosphates, and we don't need
Well-
as much. If we were putting them in the field and they stayed in the field and they were actually
But
being
these
absorbed by the
rivers go
plants.
through farm fields. It's to
I
be
don't
expected.
care.
It's to be expected
No,
when
it's
you go
not.
through farm fields. I
Do
would
the
think.
right thing with the drainage ditches and plant them with grass. And
What
don't
is the
let them
setback? How close can they farm up to the riverbank?
14 millimeters.
What?
They can go right up to the edge. They can plant in the.
There's
on
not
the-
a 10-foot backdrop?
Not that I know of. There was.
Because that way when you were applying nutrients, you'd be
not in
farther
this
away
state.
from
Not
the...
in this state.
Okay, well, that's a shame.
Not as
So-
far as I know. Now, if somebody knows different,
And you
let me
can-
know.
if
And
you-
I love farmers. I have
Exactly.
100,000 of them I work for. That's not the point.
And if anyone's interested in going and looking at what the results are, if you're planning on swimming, because there will be new tests done Monday and Tuesday, you can go to www.algae.in.gov. That's the Indiana government website posting the results of the algae tests that they're going to be doing and the continuing to do.
I want to get to a couple of things. You know what? We're running out of time.
I
We weren't
know.
even prepared that much for
what-
the show.
what did you
But
do?
Let me tell you, a couple of things that I want to get to was the fact that we have a a station right in Alpine that tells you the flow of the water. You just have to go to the USGS
Yep, United
office,
States Geological Service
National Water Information System web interface. And I don't have my glasses
Just
on.
search USGS river levels.
And then go to Alpine. You can also go and find one for Brookville Lake. It'll tell you the exact level of the lake, how much water is coming out of the overflow.
We
There's
like to
all
look at the
kinds
one
of
at the
sites.
tailwater below Brookville
Yeah,
Lake.
because you can't
Because
trout
when you're
fish unless
trout
you know what
fishing,
you're doing.
right? You
But
gotta
let me
know.
show you something here. The highest water level that has been in a number of years was the 4th of July.
Wow.
And that means that canoers right now should have a really fantastic
Yay.
trip. But here's something you got to watch out for. If you're new to canoeing, if you're new to kayaking or new to stand-up paddleboard, and you see a log across the river, beach that device, watercraft you have, and pull it up and around. The next thing you need to know is that if it floats on the water, it probably needs a sticker.
True.
You need a sticker on a stand-up paddleboard, on a kayak, on a canoe,
It's
on
called-
a flat-bottom boat.
It's a launch permit for a non-motorized vehicle. Every boat with a motor that goes into water needs a launch permit for a motorized vehicle. My stand-up paddleboard and my kayak both require a permit, a launch permit to be used in any Indiana waters to be legal, a launch permit. I think it's like $6 per vehicle. And you've got
And you need
it's
one
like
for
a,
everyone.
You know, a launch
and the
permit.
fine is it's not worth paying the fine. I
You-
think it's a $200
And
fine.
you know, all these fees that you pay, people complain a lot about the fees, but it does go to conservation, to these types of projects that, you
Goes
know.
directly to Bill Brown.
Hi, Bill. I saw him the other day out at the Hampton store. He's going to kill you for that. Sorry, Bill. It's not true. Bill Brown does not get the money from these fees. Absolutely not.
No, he does not.
No. He gets a paycheck.
Are you trying to
but,
talk
you
to
know.
us? No. I can't hear a thing you're saying, but
The
I think
control
he's
studio.
trying.
He's telling us we have 5 minutes left, I
Oh,
think.
5 minutes, 3 minutes?
Can't hear anything you
Can't
said.
hear a thing you say.
No.
But we're going to continue. We're going to
Yeah,
keep
we're
talking
right
until
up
they
to
come
the
out of the
end.
room and go like this
Yeah,
and say,
we have issues.
shut the heck
apparently,
up.
today.
Okay, do you know about the black vulture and the fact that they're eating trucks and cars? There are pterodactyls coming to get you. I am not kidding. And we have what?
The question was, I'm sorry, we were asked the question, where do you get these stickers, these launch permits?
Oh, yes.
You can get them at any, what's called? The booth. The booth you go through when
But
you go
you can't
into
get them
Mounds.
if you go into Gar Hill. You can't get them if you go into Egypt Hollow. You can't
Any
get,
booth where
it
you
has
go
to
into
be a
the
place where you
Whitewater.
actually have to pull up
Stop
the booth.
and see an
or you
attendant.
can go to the mounds. You can get them there,
At the
either at the
office.
mounds or at the booth as you're going down
Any
over
one
the
of
hill.
those booths going into the lake or Whitewater, wherever there is a booth with an attendant, they
And
have
somebody
those.
is there all the time. You can also get them for the Brookville Lake and for all the areas
Yes.
by going to Whitewater State Park,
Yes.
either to the office or to the booth
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Okay,
They
so
carry all
these
of
giant, humongous pterodactyls, I think they have a wingspan of like 25
Black
feet.
vultures.
They're
We're
as
not
big as
talking the turkey vultures, not those that eat
Actually,
the dead things, right?
These have a mousy gray-black head, and they're quite attractive. I thought about getting one for a pet.
Oh, that would be lovely.
But they're eating the rubber trim around the windows. They're eating the windshield wipers off. Well, actually, they're not eating. They're ripping them off. And my wife has a theory. They say
do
in
have
this
a theory.
brochure
There
that
is-
says they don't know what's going on.
There's a whole theory that they are why are they attacking vehicles?
I heard
and
that.
ripping off the rubber and ripping off and only on the windshield and front. I have a theory about this because my ex-husband and I used to go across Alligator Alley from Fort Lauderdale to Naples, and when you would get to the toll booth at the end, there would be birds that lived at the toll booth who would be swooping at your vehicle. But at first, we couldn't figure it out. They were swooping to get the dead bugs, the dragonflies and butterflies and huge moths and whatever off the front of your grill.
Opportunistic.
Free food. And I'm wondering if that isn't what these black birds are doing.
It could be, or it could be that because of the color black, all of the rubber is black. It could be because they're demented
But why
in
the
the brain.
windshield? Why,
I don't know.
around
They're eating all the
right.
rubber up. If you want to protect your vehicle from this, you can, if you have an antenna, which most people don't, you can put streamers on there. They don't like anything that
How about hot
disrupts.
sauce?
Yeah, no, that doesn't bother them. It says in here that they think they smell something. I don't think birds smell.
And it says they
birds
don't really
smell anything.
Well, how do they smell dead stuff?
They don't smell.
when
And
they-
so the other thing you can do is bring a cover and put a cover over your, even a tarp, because once there's something there, they don't like the land there. So,
There you go.
but they're getting more and more aggressive, and they're coming in. There's a fish consumption. I've consumed a little bit too much myself today, but there's a fish consumption warning, and you need to get a hold of that to know what fish to eat and which fish you can't eat. And it's a beautiful
how
list
much
that
of
you
it,
can
how
get from the
often.
Department of Natural Resources. That's a fantastic.
DNR has it all.
DNR has all kinds of stuff, and always click on those
We're out of
added
time.
things.
Yeah.
Click on the added things. Have a sale at the house
See you Saturday.
10 till 5. Well, let's
10
say
to 4.
10 to 4, 10 to 5. And we want to see you out there, and we have free stuff to give away, so come on down.
Hi,
and
Dad.
We'll see you. I love all of you. Bye.